You're with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
Let's walk the talk. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856.
92.7 and 106 FM.
9 minutes after 9 o'clock. Dumelang. Happy Friday. Welcome to the show. I trust you are good this morning and that you've had a wonderful, wonderful week so far. Every Friday, we do the 702 Open Line Gratitude Friday. So this is where you can call us or send us a WhatsApp voice note to tell us what you are grateful for this week. What happened this week that filled your heart and made you happy? 011-883-0702. That's the number you can call on. You can send your WhatsApps as well on 072-702-1702. My goodness, the news cycle is crazy, hey? There's so much to talk about. Take your pick. The head of crime intelligence, Dumisani Khumalo, alleged yesterday that nearly all police members in Gauteng are working with criminal cartels. Do you understand how crazy that is? Nearly all police members in Gauteng are working with criminal cartels. He said that this is when he was testifying before Parliament's ad hoc committee investigating allegations of corruption and interference in the criminal justice system. He also said there are highly trained combat members of the SAPS in Gauteng who are moonlighting, working for syndicates outside of their official hours. These are serious revelations. He says that there was an assessment that was made, and that's when they realized that almost all members of the SAPS in the province are compromised. And look, I know he probably meant not all of them because he says almost all. So I don't know if he means that almost all of them or if he meant almost all of the officers they assessed as crime intelligence. Because there are thousands of officers in the Gauteng province alone. And maybe crime intelligence was looking at a particular group of officers and that's what he's referring to. But from what we heard yesterday, he seemed to suggest that almost all of the SAPS members in Gauteng are compromised. Or do you think that he could be referring to a group of SAPS members and not the entire service members in the province? This is a very, very serious claim to make, and it's got huge implications. And if indeed this is the case, then you are on your own, my friends. You are. And maybe that then explains a lot. Maybe it explains why we've had the experiences we've had with crime in this province. Maybe it explains why there have been reports of people who are engaged in criminal activities but they never end up in jail because they work with the SAPS members. This has serious implications. How do you stop and respect the authority of the men and women in blue in this province when you are being told that almost all of them work with cartels? How do I know who is an honest officer and who is not? How do I trust that this is an officer who just wants to do their job when they stop me on the road? How? And if really this is the case, what General Khumalo said yesterday, that all these SAPS members who were assessed were found to be working with cartels, are they being investigated? And I guess some of this could make sense because it rots from the head, right? There have been serious allegations made against the Gauteng head of organized crime, Major General Richard Shibiri, over his alleged links with criminal cartels. Why is he still on the job? Khumalo says investigations against him are at an advanced stage, but he's still on the job. Could he not be precautionary suspended? The officers that General Khumalo says moonlight for the syndicates, have they been charged? What's the point of hearing all of this shocking and disturbing evidence, which actually reveals how vulnerable we are as citizens, if there is no action taken to make amends? What do you think of what General Khumalo said? By the way, we contacted the Gauteng National Police Commissioner, Lieutenant General Mtombeni, to join us to respond to what General Khumalo said. And he didn't want to do the interview, but he denied what Khumalo said. He told us that there is no official document that they received as the SAPS in Gauteng about such an analysis showing almost all SAPS officers in Gauteng are working with cartels. And he says if those are picked up, he says if such an analysis was made, he would have known about it. He also raised issues with the fact that General Khumalo has not given them the details of the officers whom he claims work with the cartels. Let me know your thoughts. Give me a call or send me a WhatsApp voice note. And then this bet on the DA, or in the DA. Has the DA been captured by the ANC? Has it been captured by criminal elements? That's what the former minister, Deon George, believes. He announced yesterday his resignation from the DA. I mean, it's obvious that he jumped before he was pushed. They were coming for him. But this fight has really been ridiculous. I mean, John and Deon have been throwing dirt at each other. And it all started when Deon George was fired as Minister of Environment and Fisheries at the request of Steenhuisen. Steenhuisen accused George of various missteps, including racism, bullying, sexual assault during his time as Minister of Environment. On the other hand, George accused Steenhuisen of misusing the party's credit card. Steenhuisen's own finances have been in the limelight. Remember, the Daily Maverick had revealed that there was a default judgment, in fact, that had been issued against him in May last year for failing to pay over 150,000 rand in credit card debt. In fact, Deon George, yesterday, when he announced his resignation, said Steenhuisen's personal financial vulnerabilities leaves the DA with a leader who cannot challenge the ANC in the GNU. So he says Steenhuisen is financially compromised. But the other allegations that is made against Steenhuisen, and this is happening as the DA prepares for its elective conference in April. What impact do you think this spat has on the DA and on John Steenhuisen? Because News 24 is reporting this morning that Steenhuisen will run for re-election as leader in April. And what Deon was saying yesterday was, I don't know, DA, if this is the kind of leader that you want. What do you think of that? And I'm also interested in your thoughts around what happened in the US, because the president, Donald Trump, has got that Nobel Peace Prize he has long been desperate for. But unfortunately, he's not a laureate. He met with the Venezuelan opposition leader, Maria Machado, in the Oval Office yesterday, during which she presented the president with her Nobel Peace Prize in recognition and honor of Trump's quote-unquote help for the Venezuelan people. And President Trump took the Nobel Peace Prize. He didn't say, oh, thank you, but you keep it, Maria, because you were on the ground and fighting the regime of Nicolas Maduro. Thank you for the honor, but you deserve this Nobel Peace Prize. No, he didn't. He took it because he's always believed that he deserves it. Remember these moments?
They will never give me a Nobel Peace Prize.
I think I'm going to get a Nobel Prize for a lot of things if they gave it out fairly, which they don't.
I can't think of anybody in history that should get the Nobel Prize more than me.
He's always wanted it, right? And by the way, the prize can change owners, but it can be shared or transferred. And I wonder if you've ever claimed what belongs to somebody else. Have you ever claimed something that doesn't really belong to you or wasn't given to you? Or maybe you've witnessed someone who claims and takes ownership of what doesn't belong to them. Share your thoughts with us. 011-883-0702. WhatsApp's on 072-702-1702.
Clement Manyathela, streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856
92.7
and 106 FM.
Morning, Clement. Morning, 72 Landers. Superior from Midget. grateful for the family that I have, and more especially seeing my daughter going to high school, starting her first day in high school. It has been one of the greatest things that I've seen so far, besides her being born. But yeah, I'm grateful that the Lord has kept her and kept us to this point.
Oh, that's amazing. And we wish her all the best as she starts this new journey.
Good morning, Clement. Happy Friday. Today, I just want to share my appreciation for my husband. He's so caring, so thoughtful, so gentle, so kind, so quick to forgive. He is such a wonderful man, and I really appreciate him. We've been married for almost 7 years now, and I am excited to continue this life journey with him, and I pray that God blesses our marriage and our kids. Thank you, Kia from Pretoria. His name is Tumelo Manaiwa.
Tumza the lover. That's beautiful to hear, and I wish you guys all the best in your marriage. It's 20 minutes after.
Morning, Clement. What filled my heart this week is actually two things. The first one, I got my mother, who is 83 years old. I got her a full-time helper who's going to stay at home with her, on a full-time basis. Clement, that just fills my heart. My mother works so hard. She's done the best that she could as a mother for us. And she is now getting weak, So it used to pain me to go home. And she didn't have somebody full-time. She had somebody who was not full-time, but now she's going to have somebody who's going to be there full-time. So that fills my heart.
Oh, perfect.
But the most important thing, which is the second thing today, is my daughter's birthday. My one and only daughter, the apple of my eye. My daughter who has made me so proud as a parent and in whom I'm well pleased. Thanks, Clement. From Madrid.
Happy birthday to your daughter.
Your voice,
Your station.
your open line
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela.
on 702.
Good morning, Clement. Police officers are corrupt. We've been saying this for I don't know how many years. You remember about 15 years ago when they were saying as 1,500 police officers have got criminal records and nobody did anything about it. I know somebody will call in and say, not all police officers are corrupt, but let me tell you something. The corrupt ones are getting more and more, and those who are not corrupt are becoming lesser and lesser. Because you don't recruit a police that is corrupt to be a good police, but you could recruit a good police to be a corrupt police, if you know what I mean. Let's deal with the numbers now, Clement. Now, because it's been said by the general, nobody's disputing it. Because the general says more and more police officers, and majority of them in Gauteng, are corrupt with these cartels. Now people are starting to believe. And Clement, deal with this issue of journalists that are corrupt. I've never heard you deal with them decisively.
Which journalist is corrupt? Please maybe call us or send a WhatsApp and tell us which journalist specifically you're talking about. I would comment about that. I hold no favor for anybody. I'm colleagues with some. I would like to believe that if it's found that I'm a corrupt journalist or broadcaster, I hope my colleagues will call me out. Yeah? And if there is a journalist I know is corrupt, who is exposed to be that, trust me, definitely. I'll talk about it because I think that compromises the industry. It does compromise what other honest journalists are doing who are trying to stay true to their job and just do their job. So maybe give me more information what you're talking about, my brother, so we can engage on that.
Hi, Clement. This is Sole. Look, I think we've been on our own for a long time. We should wonder why a lot of the highly connected people, for some reason, get away from the criminal justice system. It's because they're protected. But we should also be wondering if all these policemen are involved with the criminal networks, is it out of greed or are many of them being threatened, maybe blackmailed, compromised? Is somebody saying, listen, if you don't do this, we know where your kids go to school, where your wife works, etc., etc., and this is what is going to happen to you. I think that a space should be opened for policemen to come into a protected space and tell us what is going on.
Good morning, Clement. Regarding this issue of police officers around Gauteng, I stay in Beria. I have seen it. It is true, Clement, the corruption, if you come to Hebrew police station. Early in the morning, those vans, they arrest those undocumented foreign nationals. Each person is being charged 1.5. 1.5. I'm not sure if this money goes to the government.
Yeah. So what do we do then? I mean, that leaves us vulnerable. If there are so many police officers, I mean, I don't believe that every police officer is corrupt. I don't believe, similarly, like I don't believe every member of the public service is lazy or is rude, like some perceptions that exist. But what do we do when an official who is the head of crime intelligence says on a public platform that almost all, in fact, I must find you that clip of Dumisani Khumalo for some of you that may not have heard what he said yesterday in Parliament. Take a listen.
Support that the PKTT gave to the GCI ops. It was a one-day operation when the combat teams had to come in. The reason for that, during the analysis and the threat and risk assessment, it had come out that almost the whole of SAPS in Gauteng is working for the cartel. So hence then we had to get the combat team even from the PKTT, and even the special task force that we used for that operation was not from Gauteng province, but was from outside Gauteng province. That is the operation of the 6th. So the PKTT suffered and is still suffering for that assistance of 2.5 weeks and 1 day, which raised a wrong impression that PKTT is investigating the cartel. PKTT came in to assist.
Just a moment, General. Honorable James.
Chair, I almost fell off my chair now. Did I hear the General correctly when he said an analysis was done and you found that almost the entire Gauteng SAPS was working for the cartel? Just clarify that statement, please.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. We say that because whatever that we were doing in now this covert operation will find its way to the very same cartel. That is from the resources. I think even the vehicles were all over the social media. The vehicles with registration plates that were used by the team. So as the team is working, they are going to courts and to police stations. So where they are, and then they are, then whatever that they are doing is given to the cartel members. We had collected a lot of information and identified a lot of members from within. Maybe let me make an example of the uniform combat teams. There is this, what is happening in Gauteng, where the highly trained combat members of SAPS are moonlighting for the cartels. In other words, working outside their working hours. It happened to the team, I think, on 2 occasions when they are moving with the combat teams from Gauteng. They get to a cartel member, and then the member will ask, "Hey, what are you doing here? Because you were with me last weekend, working for me." So
you see, so what I'm asking is, how do we respect men and women in blue when we hear that? Like, I struggle with that. Like, how, if I'm told almost all of them work for the cartels, how do I show respect to the men and women? How do I know who's an honest officer, who's not? So when they stop me on the road, do I just oblige, like, and they're being weird, and who do I trust? If I'm stopped at night, I mean, I know how many times some of you have called and said, you don't trust anybody now at night. You drive towards a garage, a petrol station, or you drive towards a police station, they would rather follow you. What do we do when this is what we're being told by the senior officers in the SAPS? It's 9:31.
Your voice,
Your station.
your open line
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela.
on 702.
23 minutes before 10 o'clock. Let's go back to your calls on 011-883-0702. Mbija, JD, Stan, I see your calls on the SAPS in Gauteng and what General Khumalo had to say. I'll start with your calls in a moment. I've also been asking you about the spat in the Democratic Alliance and whether you think it will impact the party, or at the very least John Steenhuisen, because it seems like he's going to be running again for leader of the party at the elective conference in April.
Goeiemorgen, Clemmy, and your team there, man. Flores here from the beautiful Western Cape. Clemmy, this whole saga with Dion George resigning before he could even go to disciplinary hearing. But then again, why are some of the most prominent leaders of the DA so tight-lipped? And if Dion George knew that there was wrongdoing from John Steenhuisen's side, why did he not call it out when it happened? That makes him an accomplice as well. But let me tell you, this race is going to be very interested when they have their election conference. Have a good time. Bye-bye.
Yeah, I've asked this very question last year. I said, Dion George, why are you only revealing this to the public now about John's abuse of the party's credit card? But also, similarly so, John Steenhuisen, why are you only revealing the complaints against Dion George from some of his staff members, including complaints of sexual harassment, now that you guys are fighting? And I'm not saying that those must not be taken seriously, but take it with a pinch of salt, because they're not exposing each other because they're interested in the rule of law, they're interested in morality, they're interested in ethical leadership. They're doing it because this is weapon. They're using that as weapons against each other. And that is really, really disappointing. And I even said last year, what irritates me the most is when politicians start using sexual violence as a weapon. That is not something we should ever weaponize. But it's become such an easy way to go after people, hey? Isn't it? Let's be honest, it is. If you stand up there and says, Clement assaulted me sexually, that becomes like a thing. There's not, and there was a time as a society where we got to a point where we can't even question that. We can't even say, what do you mean? Okay. Because there was a question that was popular. Do you believe her? And if you say no, you must be cancelled. And I know, don't get me wrong here, I understand the nuance here of how difficult it is for people to go out and reveal that they have been assaulted. I do. But I'm saying we've got politicians. It happened even in Parliament where someone accused Julius Malema of beating up his wife. With what evidence? There wasn't any. But you jump to what? People were now calling on Malema to be cancelled because we are at a point where we can't question. And equally so, sexual violence has been used like that. Cyril Ramaphosa has been accused of that. There are many politicians who have. Why? Because it's become a cheap thing to throw, because you know society is going to pick it up, because it's such a serious thing that most of us are united against. And that is so sad, that sexual violence can be used as a weapon like that. And there are people who know how powerful of a weapon it is, and they use it. If someone has complained about Dion George sexually assaulting them, that matter must have been dealt with immediately. It's not a matter that you expose to the public when you are fighting with Dion George. And that's how disappointing these politicians are. I've asked you about Donald Trump, who has now taken this Nobel Peace Prize from Maria Machado. He didn't even say to Maria, no, you keep it because you worked hard and you were abused when you were challenging the authority of the regime of Nicolas Maduro. He took it because he's always believed that there's one man, if there's one man who thinks he must get a Nobel Peace Prize, it's himself.
Good morning, Clement and team. I've witnessed ambitious entertainment claiming MT's MTN awards after dropping the Roll Up album. That was sad. That was just sad because he's the one who put in the work, and to have a recording label to claiming those awards after the actual ceremony, it was not on.
Morning, Mr. Manyathela, sir. So the funniest and the most embarrassing moment that actually I've ever experienced is the time Kanye West took an award which was it was going to Taylor Swift, and he said Beyonce deserves it. Yeah, that was the moment for me. I keep on remembering that day actually, so it's like it happened yesterday. So yeah, you know.
Yeah, I remember that moment very, very, very well. So claiming things that don't really belong to you. In fact, have you ever thought about Maria Machado and whether or not she's worked with somehow the US or Trump administration to go after Venezuela? I mean, as soon as she received that Nobel Peace Prize, the first thing she said was, "This I'm gonna dedicate it to President Donald Trump." So I wonder what kind of relationship they've had before Venezuela was invaded and its president was kidnapped by the US. 17 before 10.
Your voice.
Your station.
Your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
Mbija, you're calling us from Soweto. You want to talk about what General Khumalo said yesterday. Good morning.
Kgotso Mr. Manyathela le kae?
Thabela re bona le kae?
Our duler ka buthaleng. Wa tsaba wena Mr. Clement ntho go sha botlhoko ka our South African police. Banna ba go korga ke am e-hailing driver ne. Go ka berekela area ela ya Amalgam, Forsberg, Joburg CBD, Hillbrow, Brixton. These people, they are corrupt to the root. Early in the morning, they will catch all these foreign nationals. Within an hour's time, they will be releasing them. The same thing again in the evening, they will be doing the very same thing. So I'm asking myself, these guys, what are they doing exactly? Like yesterday, they stopped me. And then when they stop me, they come to my car, and then I open the window. They say to me, "Why are you going?" I'm saying, "Guys, I'm at work. I'm taking somebody to OR Tambo."
Yeah.
No, open the window at the back. I open the window. "Yes, madam. How are you, madam? Are you a Mozambican or a Zimbabwean?" So I'm asking myself, guys, what kind of question are you asking? They say, "No, we are on duty. We're checking these people." So it's sad, my brother. It's sad. These guys, what they're doing, really.
Yeah, so Mbija in Soweto, thanks for your call. So here's the thing, right? You and I as citizens have a responsibility to respect authority. And that's why I said earlier, this is where it makes it tricky. How do I know who's an honest officer and who's not? Because I have no respect for officers that are busy wearing a uniform that's supposed to stand for the rule of law, authority, and the protection of us as civilians. And that's the same person who is in cahoots with criminals. I have no respect for an officer like that. So if we are being told that almost all of them are in this province, who do you know who's honest and who's not? And this is unfair because, one, there are some police officers out there who are honest, who love what they do, and they care about the rule of law. They care about protecting you. And you know what's going to happen to them tomorrow? They're not going to be respected by you. Because you have been told that almost all are compromised, are corrupt. There are some people out there who love their job. I mean, someone has just sent me a clip now of a woman who was stopped by police officers. And this woman says, please, can we go speak at the at the police station or at the petrol station? I don't trust you. And they're insisting that, no, come out of the car or open the window. They want to ask her questions. Do you see where we're going with this? We're going to get to a point where the authority of the SAPS is not respected. Men and women in blue are not respected because the perception that exists, as we have been told, is that many of them are corrupt. And that's what I worry. And if that happens, what kind of society are we going to be when we have completely lost respect for our SAPS members? Remember what used to happen in Sunnyside? In Sunnyside, they used to even pelt stones at police officers. There were sections in society who didn't respect police officers. There were videos that used to make rounds. No respect whatsoever for men and women in blue. And I worry that that's where we're going to head towards. We're going to get to a point where we don't even respect their authority when they legitimately stop us at roadblocks. That's where we're going to head to. And that's my worry, because I'm thinking about what kind of society we're going to become post that. JD, you are in the Val. What are your thoughts? Hi.
Thobela Madumeja.
Sure.
Madumeja. You know what? If you were to show me one police officer that is clean in Gauteng, I'll give you a 5 rand note. You understand where I'm going?
Yeah.
So there isn't one. Personally, I was involved in a program where I was trying to rehabilitate these youngsters from Nyaupe. So parallel to that process, I went to the police station and said, guys, we'll help you. We know where these drug dens are. We'll help you clean the streets while we are cleaning these young men. I didn't get any cooperation. I had to escalate this program to the provincial office in Parktown. They intervened and came to the local police station and they talked to the station commander. Clement, from then on till today, we've never achieved anything because they were not willing to cooperate. So they will go to those addresses that we give them, but what they will do, they will just take money from those guys. So if a person does not cooperate, they will confiscate whatever stock from him and take it to the one that cooperates, that pays them a bribe.
Yeah, that's really sad, JD. Thank you for your call, Endeavor. Can you imagine the morale in the police? I feel sorry for the men and women in blue who are honest about their jobs and they love what they do and they are not corrupt. I feel sorry for them because, and we do this all the time, then you start painting everyone with the same brush just because you have had a negative experience with police officers. Then you start thinking that all of them are. The morale must be so low. Like someone who loves their job, who's a police officer out there who wakes up in the morning, do you really want to go to work? When that's a perception that the society you are meant to protect that's a perception they hold against you. Spare a thought, because they do exist. Spare a thought for the honest men and women in blue out there who just want to do their job, who are not interested in being in cahoots with criminals. They just want to do their job. But there's a perception. And now there are these revelations that, almost all here are like this. An assessment is made. Sten, you're calling from Boksburg. Hi.
Hi, Clement. How are you?
Sure.
Sharply. Look, I'm beginning to actually have a problem with this Mkwanazi thing. You know, I mean, the Khumalo and HF, I don't know what is that they've been doing all along in HF, if they knew that something like this is taking place. You know, there are several other incidents that took place in this particular country. The country nearly went into fire. You know, I mean, they couldn't be able to detect some of the things quite earlier, so that the police could actually be able to intervene and sort out this particular mess. Right now, they say almost all the police in Gauteng in HF are actually involved in cartels with criminals. How true can that be? You know, they are taking advantage of the fact that majority in the country now, they're actually like into this Mkwanazi park. You know, we're not listening carefully anymore. They can say anything. They're fabricating as they go along. And this is totally irresponsible. You cannot actually come up with something like that. And for that matter, understand the superiors in Gauteng don't know about this particular thing. How the heck are they actually operating? I don't believe them anymore. You know, I just don't believe them. They are fabricating. Maybe they want to be in control. I don't know. But this is actually like totally irresponsible. How should I look at police as I drive along in Gauteng right now? Totally irresponsible. There's no way you can justify that kind of a comment coming from somebody from the intelligence. That's totally irresponsible. If it's actually true, why were they quiet all along? They've been quiet, and I think they're fabricating some of these stories as they go along. They're fabricating them. Maybe there's an agenda here. I'm telling you, these guys are trying to protect their meal ticket. That's that impression I'm getting now. They're in charge.
Okay, Sten in Boksburg, thank you so much for your thoughts. Do you agree with what Sten is saying? That now they're taking it too far and making this broad general statements. I asked earlier, what is being done? So if really an assessment is made, right? If an assessment is made, and by the way, General Khumalo has managed to bring about some evidence. I mean, when he was at the Madlanga Commission, some of the stuff that he said, he was able to back it up with evidence. We've seen that. So when they say this, you take it seriously. I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean that everything is going to be truthful to the T, but I'm saying they've said stuff before that they've managed to back up with evidence in as far as these cartels are concerned. But when you make a statement that almost all SAPS members are corrupt and compromised and there's an assessment made, the obvious question is, okay, what has been done? So if you know that Clement, John, Tsepo, Tabiseng, Gladys are compromised, why are we not being told that 6 have been arrested? 10 have been arrested. But maybe the challenge is that who arrests them, because it rots from the head. I spoke about General Shibiri. How many witnesses have mentioned this man, head of organized crime in Gauteng? He's still on the job. Not even a precautionary suspension. Yeah, hey? Not even a precautionary suspension. Let's go to your WhatsApps.
Good morning, Clement and 702 team. Salamina from Pretoria. You know, with regards to police officers that are just corrupt, my dad's friend, who was a brigadier, took early retirement because he could not handle the caliber of people that were being hired in the police force anymore. He just couldn't understand how suddenly comrades were now SAPS officials and they were now given posts, in senior posts in the police force, and he just couldn't understand anymore. And lo and behold, look now what's going on. So I really understand the frustration of Mr. Khumalo and why he felt the need to come out with what's happening.
Morning, Clement. I'd like to remain anonymous. You know, my ex-husband is doing PD, and he really did try to be the good one. But working on the ground for him became so difficult that he actually just opted to go work in the CCTV offices, because that was much easier for him as an honest police officer. It's not easy for the right ones to work on the ground. Like your previous listener said, that they would arrest someone and that person in 2-3 hours is out.
Good morning, Clement. I think the general is correct. He is right. Almost all the police are compromised. Take a simple example of illegal cigarettes. Illegal sale of cigarettes. They know where they are sold, and nobody's going to touch those people. Yes, it is true. Thank you. Bye.
Hi, Clement. I live in Ivory Park, and I can attest to what the gentleman said about the police taking bribes from illegal immigrants in Hillbrow. It's the same in Ivory Park, and I'm sure in most townships. But I'll talk about the Ivory Park because that's where I live. So the police are doing this daily, in the mornings and in the afternoons when people coming back from work and going to work. So that's why they do stop and searches and mini roadblocks and collecting bribes from illegal immigrants. 1.5, that's the going rate at the moment. So it's so sad. I think not all, obviously, but most police officers are corrupt.
Morning, Clement and the team. You know, what's confusing is these are allegations to South Africans. Rumors start somewhere, first of all, and these are allegations. This is like based on facts or evidence, I'm assuming, allegedly. However, if it's there to begin with, that means there's something there. So them denying and them can they stop making fools of us? Because it's not even about the evidence not even being there. We see the rot happening live as we live, the reality we live. We can see it live that things are not working out. Corruption is alive.